I am on a quest to beat every game for the Nintendo Gamecube. Every single one. However, each game is chosen at random by this horrendous wheel, so we are never certain what's coming next. My name is Rami, and this is my quest to beat the entire Gamecube library. Game number 12 is Amazing Island. Released in 2004, it was developed by Ancient Hitmaker and published by Sega. From watching a few trailers, it appeared to be some sort of Mario Party and Pokemon hybrid, but since it never released in the PAL regions, Kid Me never got to play it. What exactly is this game, and how does it hold up? Let's find out. There's a single-player story mode available, so we'll need to beat the final boss of that to finish this game. The story is super simple. There is a legendary island described in a picture book, and it's occupied by amazing and happy little creatures. We have the choice of a boy or girl protagonist. I had chat vote, and they chose the boy since he looks a bit like a Digimon tamer. I gave him our recurring name of Hugh-Man, and with that we were ready to head to the Amazing Island. Hugh-Man found the book from before, and that night a mysterious voice asked him to save the island by using a magical card to travel there. We get isekai to the island, and this was before Kirito made it cringe. We're ambushed by a little shaman dude, and he challenges me to a fight by summoning a monster. I just got here, bro! Thankfully, we have the magic card from earlier, so we can summon a monster of our own. We get a decently cool looking bipedal seahorse thing, and with that, it's boss fight time. So yeah, no standing on ceremony in this game. Every stage has a little intro cinematic and then explains the mechanics to you Mario Party style. This one is basically Dead Man's Volley from Zelda games. My first attempt did not end well. I had no sense for the timing and the camera angle is less than helpful. It took a few attempts to get the rhythm, and by my third try, I figured out how to hold and release the A button to do a power shot, which is way more effective but riskier timing wise. Every boss is some variant of this formula, so get used to seeing these. I received a fire orb for my troubles, and these are the magical MacGuffins that we must collect to beat the game. The shaman was also now free of his curse, and is a good guy. He even knows who I am. We're taken to the village chief, who explains the plot, and it really is as simple as a curse called the Black Evil is making good guys bad. We want good guys good, so we beat bad guys and make bad guys good. Makes sense, right? And that's it. I'll only be talking about gameplay from now on, as the plot just adds more NPCs to the town, Digimon World style, and most of them just stand around doing basically nothing. We're told that the Florb from earlier empowers us to create custom monsters, and we'll need stronger ones to find more Dragon Balls. Well, not quite custom actually. The first one is based on a personality quiz, with fully custom coming later. I had chat pick our answers, and here's what we came up with. Which table do you sit at in a shop? Way in the back, classic Twitch lurkers. How do you spend a summer by the sea? We chillin'. What do you do during a huge earthquake? Pretend to not care? You're aboard a ship, where is it going? To infinity and beyond, baby. Lastly, there are eggs in a tree, but one of them looks strange. Could it be a human egg? With the test finished, it was time to see what abomination we hath wrought. Some sort of skelly horse, apparently. You then need to draw and inflate the monsters around its skeleton, as you do. Once again, this first one is done for you. It was time! The perfect monster for me. There it is. Ball that turns into a horse. Alright, that's our collaborative hopes and dreams, chat. They chose a color for me, but I was allowed to change it, and I went for a hideous green. There is so much customization on offer here. You could put accessories like eyes, horns, and wings anywhere you want, and scale them too. This bit really reminds me of Will Wright's game Spore. I even managed to finagle some eyebrows to give me a custom mustache. Now he was perfect. We named him Fearin after a Markov bot in my Twitch chat that generally talks complete nonsense. And then we were ready to play the first proper level. I like the hub world, honestly. You get to walk around with your monster, and then you chat to various bozos that you freed throughout the game. Most of the paths are obstructed with various obstacles. Every time you get a new orb, something unlocks. So finding where to go and what to do is simple, which I appreciate. It's time to take Fearin for a spin and check out the gameplay. So a decent analogy here is Mario Party minigames. There's a series of courses that increase in difficulty, and each one rewards a new orb, new course, and more monster components. Our first minigame was as basic as they come, Jungle Dash. This is as simple as button mash A to gain speed, and hit B with good timing to smash through the wall at the end of the stage. You then receive money and points based on your performance, and even a random bit of loot. In this case, we got some eyes? Hooray! The next one was not quite as simple, Water Skip Slider. We needed to button mash A to run as quickly as possible, but then we have to hold down and release it with good timing to jump. Once we're over the water, we need to hit down with perfect timing to keep skipping further. My first attempt did not go well. If you get below the required score, you fail and lose a chance. I really wish there was a Mario Party style way to practice the games before you play them for real. Seems like a bit of an oversight. Also, call me crazy, but red in video games generally means bad. I'm used to red being fail and gold being perfect, so my instinct was to aim for the green here. Despite my vastly improved water skipping this time around, due to my average tier button mashing and not aiming for the red, we were miles away from the goal again. With my measly 2 chances spent, I was booted from the course, and thus I had to start over again. This is fine for now, but it became a real pain later on when the courses got longer, and some of the games are roughly made at best. Eventually though, after some trial and error, I got into the button mashing groove, and not only did I hit the red, but also nearly every water skip as well. It took a minute, but I had mastered this one. The next game was an unexpected jump back to my childhood. Now I'll be real with you, I sucked at this one. You have 90 seconds to beat every enemy in the arena by knocking them into the lava, and there are 3 waves of increasingly heavy monsters to tackle. The idea is that you hold A and build up increasing levels of super spin, you then release this to send the opponents flying. My main issue here stemmed from there being a total of 9 enemies that would often just spin around in big circles, which made it really hard to catch them and meet the time limit. After getting close several times, but never quite finishing within the time limit, I decided to enlist some new help. I went back to the Monster Maker, and I chose my own answers this time. The fruits of my labor? This beautiful monster with a donkey voice that I dubbed Nerif. This does lead me to one of my biggest complaints about this game, the chance system. Every time you create a new monster, you permanently gain 1 additional chance for courses. So with the creation of Nerif, I now have a 3rd chance. This essentially means the meta would be to make 20 plus monsters and just have so many lives that you can't possibly fail. I chose to not do this as it's cheesy, and it would have taken at least an hour to make them, but I would much prefer gaining a new chance each time you finish a course. With Nerif seeming to have a higher strength stat and my much improved skills, I made light work of the Beyblade game this time around. Thank God, dude. The next stage by comparison was a doddle. Smash the tower by pressing A or B with good timing until the boss at the top is reached. Then you button mash to attack and you avoid getting countered by stopping when warned. Easy peasy. With all that done, it was now time for the boss, and you will not guess what the fight is. The exact same thing! Woo! Every boss is just an increasingly tricky version of Dead Man's Volley. The main pressure here comes from knowing that if you lose, you have to play the entire course again, which, as you can imagine, I really don't want to do. Thankfully, I kept my cool, and with 1 platform remaining, had finished the beginner's course. My reward was Dragon Ball number 2, the Orange Vision Orb, and the new power to freehand draw the flesh of my monsters. I, of course, jumped straight into this and booted up the Monster Maker. I went for the hero-type skeleton this time around. You can then use a variety of pens and inflation methods to flesh out your abominations. Our beautiful new boy was named Bort, since I'm a huge Simpsons nerd, and it was on to course number 2. Now you may be thinking what I was at the time. If that was the beginner course, then surely I'm going to get completely cooked on the more advanced ones. Not particularly though. I honestly found most of the games more well explained and beatable from here on. I will also say, despite some frustrations in the first 2 hours, I was having a blast. I love creature creator games like Spore, and the minigames have enough variety to keep things engaging. In the intermediate course, we get a fork in the road. I always pick left given the choice, so we headed to Cape Diner. This led me to another water skip level, but with a new twist. You need to reach the goal while smashing through rocks with good timing. This is pretty much how it goes. Each location has a certain type of minigame, and the complexity increases based on the course difficulty level. All that practice earlier paid off though, and I smashed this one. I thought the next one was cute. Throw the boulder with good timing, and then press A at the exact moment it hits the catapult to launch yourself. On my first attempt, I was just shy of the goal. Not bad. Third time around, I found the timing for the jump, and we cleared the goal by a hair. Or in this case, a beak. Then on to another simple one. We just fall through the sky as quickly as possible and shoot the enemies. Shooting or touching them does slow you down, but you need to shoot them to score points. The twist is, if you're fast enough or kill every enemy, you gain a bonus. So you can play differently depending on whether you want to aim for kills, speed, or a combination of both. Pretty neat. I killed the majority of the enemies, and I was a speedy boy, so I got a big bonus and easily cleared minigame 5. With that, it was once again boss time.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them.
Same old, same old. I could choose which way to aim with the control stick, and I decided to just focus one down. It pretty much always pays to go for a power shot, even if the timing is much trickier. With MacGuffin number 3 now secure, we were well on our way to beating this game. This also unlocked a store to spend all that money I've been earning in. I won't be detailing when I bought stuff or used potions in this video, but you could basically earn and buy potions that stat boost you, and during a minigame if you're struggling, maybe you want to enhance your speed or your power or your stamina. I also made a new monster to celebrate the fact that we were playing this on Easter. I made the closest thing to a bunny that I could. I honestly think he's cute, and I will not be told otherwise. Look at him! An odd choice that they made here is that you must complete every branching path choice to get each orb. That means I needed to play the exact same 2 games again just to unlock the path. This feels a bit clunky, and with the game diversity not being huge, it definitely leads to a slight feeling of repetition. Nevertheless, we made our way back to the branch, and this time we took the right path. This led to a new minigame format, statue matching. This one suffers from a huge problem though. Why is he not moving? He's stuck! Well, that wasn't very helpful. He was stuck. All we need to do is match the statue heads either side to score points and extend the timer. Simple, right? But the controls, my guy. Ay, ay, ay. You sort of move on rails, and it feels like the character is magnetized, getting pulled in certain directions. I had the same issue with every single one of these matching games, and it sucks that such an easy game is troublesome due to a trash control scheme. Even by my final life, I was still fighting the controls, and I was 1 statue short of passing. And of course, this means we get booted from the course, and we must do the same 2 minigames for a 3rd time. Gross. It definitely says something that despite these minor grievances I have, I love this game. It's fun, charming, and it was a really enjoyable one to stream. I also think it's visually strong, with a distinct and vibrant art style that looks great even now. The music is also a bop, and that really helps keep the momentum going when stuck on a minigame or playing the same course for the 10th time. All in all, great stuff. By my 7th or 8th try at the statue game, I was prepared to do what needed to be done to win. I started pausing on every new wave so I could plan my routing. This is only necessary because I'm having to literally fight the controls, and I need to minimize my movement as much as possible. Look at me metaing a children's game from 20 years ago. What a time to be alive. Next up, we were running around in 3rd person and lobbing bombs at the enemies. Despite the camera not being spectacular here, this was easy enough. Run around until you find a bomb, then A to bowl it into the robots. Finally, we had a weird arena fighting game where we needed to score points by punching and key blasting the opponents across a minute. You could probably see what a visual onslaught this was, and with the fight being a free-for-all, it was just a case of running around and spamming shoot. Dude, he's 700. Oh, the bonus! That might have been for knocking the opponent off. Somehow, despite already beating this boss once, I totally flubbed the timing here, and you know what that means? Time to do the entire course again. Harsh. I decided to bring Bort back out of retirement, as he has consistently felt like the best monster to use. I haven't discussed stats in this video, because honestly, the game is vague about them at best, and they don't really seem to matter all that much. It predominantly just comes down to a mixture of luck and skill. Even now, I still think the odd timing and camera perspective makes these volley games needlessly tricky. Thankfully, with Bort on deck, we locked in the win this time, and with that, we acquired the green vision orb and had completed the intermediate course. Nearly there, dude. Now the advanced course is a lot. Each fork has another fork, meaning we need to complete left, 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 right, right, left, and right, right to get the remaining 4 orbs. I hope you're paying attention because there will be a test. Ultimately, what this means is some of the games will be played 4 times over, assuming we never game over on them. Sheesh! Thankfully this time, the Beyblade stage is way easier. You just need to score enough points within the time. It's so much more simple than the beginner course version. It feels like a really big oversight. Now, the next one was weird. The fuck? Alright, I get it, but I feel like that was very poorly explained. How weird. Alright, we'll get it this time. This is so different. Okay, this one's extremely different to the last one. We don't have to smash the whole thing either. We just have to score enough points. What is happening? That's basically this game in a nutshell. I was caught off guard here the first couple of times, but we essentially just need to bounce around and spam A to break open the statue inside. Easy enough. Of course, I went left, as always. This leads to another simple button masher. There are rocks to avoid with the control stick, but these are as easy as it gets. Now for a cool one. We need to stack blocks as high as we can by creating enough power and a good angle. The requirements get increasingly tight as the tower goes higher and becomes more wonky. It starts to get pretty crazy how precise you need to be, but I was still popping off. Sadly, I still somehow didn't have enough points though. I didn't realize the first time around, but you set a starting height to increase the difficulty, and the harder you make it for yourself, the more points you'll earn. So this time around, I cranked it to the maximum difficulty, and with my good timing, I was able to crush the requirement. We're schmovin' right now. We got to another split here, so I of course went left again. Another new kind of game next. We need to complete the course as quickly as possible by button mashing A for speed, but we also need to avoid obstacles and handle around the corners. Board steers like a shopping cart, so I needed to slow down considerably to make it around turns, but otherwise it was smooth sailing. Another one of those fighting games this time, and unfortunately you need to beat all of the opponents in the time limit and get a high enough score on this one, so a little bit more complicated. I got insanely close on my first attempt, but one survived with a slither of health. You bum. I thought I won on the second try as I killed the last dude. Unbelievably though, I was a whole 5 points short of the goal. Why? My third time around though, I downed a huge power potion to jack up Bort's attack, and I made sure that I was dealing the most damage on all 3 enemies, and that way I was able to totally annihilate them and score 1100 points. Now I was starting to sweat a bit here, because I only had 4 chances remaining, and I will need to beat this boss or I have to do all of that again. And now there are 3 of them. Uh-oh. I got pretty damn close on my first try, but as always, the timing is anything but consistent on these balls. With the pressure on, it was focus time, and that's when I started to cook. I kept it simple, I just avoided power shotting entirely, because the timing is a lot easier if you just stick to basic taps. Thankfully, this time I kept my cool, and I was able to lock in the dub, and that prevented needing to do all 6 stages over again. Phew! Blorb now in hand, we have 3 more to go before the final boss. Home stretch, baby. You know the deal by now, I needed to get back to the path split, so it was once again a case of beating the same games I'd already beaten. The left-right path took us to my old nemesis, fighting bad controls. This time we need to smash the wrong heads with A to make space, and then match the remaining ones. Thus it was time to bring back my cheese strap.
If we can hit that bullseye, the rest of the dominoes will fall like a house of cards. Checkmate.
Sadly, even with my pause strat, the magnetized feeling controls were as awful as ever, and this was a real struggle. Eventually, I had it down to a fine art though, and I was clearing each wave at lightning speed. It's a shame, I like these levels, but they do not feel good to play. Another running stage next, and this time we just need to grab the ball and keep it to score points. The opponent can steal the ball from you by catching up, and vice versa, so it's a case of keeping possession for as long as you can. No issues with this one though, and it was time for the same boss. Again! As always, it took me a few goes, but we locked in another win and grabbed the water orb. That just leaves 2. So now it was time to take the right path and see which stages I'd be playing twice. Fiery Path is a weird one. We have the Beyblade controls, but we're trying to navigate our way along a series of obstacles. There are enemies along the way, but it's mostly just the platforming that creates the difficulty. You also move on a dime, so it's really hard to not fly off the stage, and certain jumps required spinning to maintain airtime. I like this one a lot. Another water skip level next, and we have these totally sus by now. Nothing to see here. Left is beft. By contrast, it was a tricky one next, another catapult stage. I just found the timing here a little weird. I was trying to hit the A button as the boulder touched the platform, but it seems like you need to wait just a second for it to register. Fourth time's the charm though, and we sailed through the goal and got one step closer to beating this one. The last stage of this path was another sky drop, and this time it's as simple as going through as many rings as possible, chaining successive rings to make bigger bonuses, and the faster you finish, the bigger said bonus becomes. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. Of course, another repetitive boss fight next, but this time I beat it on my first attempt, and that was gratifying. We're so close, only one orb remains. Each orb unlocks villagers and more customization options, but it's mostly just fluff, so I haven't really gone into details. I decided I needed to make one more monster to finish out the game with, and since I mostly stream Pokemon content, I wondered if I could recreate Pikachu in this game. Good enough. Thin. Let's do the ears. This is a lot of effort. We have the source. It's just black on the tip, right? There he is, dude. My son, Pikachu. He's beautiful. With my Pokemon pal in tow, it was time to finish this one. You know the deal. For one last time, it was the same 4 stages we've already beaten. Again, the game can get a little bit repetitive, but overall, I was just having such a blast playing it and messing around with my dumb creations. The last statue game, thankfully, was as simple as smash as many as possible. Even the bad controls could not make this one difficult. We crushed it on our first try. Also, the final version of the fighting stage is a little different. You need to pick up the ball and then enter the score zone whilst holding it to earn some points. Of course, in a free-for-all, everybody's constantly smacking into each other, which makes movement a little bit janky. Still, I got into the groove, and on my second attempt, we easily got the required score. Also, side note, Pikachu celebrates his victories with no shame, and I respect that. For what I can only pray is the final time, I beat the 3 dudes at Dead Man's Volley on my first try and had at long last entirely completed the advanced course. With the very last MacGuffin acquired, the finish line is in sight. Now that I had acquired all of the magical marbles, we used them to power ourselves up and gained the strength to face the Black Evil in its pure form. The final boss gate opens, and now we just need to beat that sucker. Now, on the plus side, this isn't another entirely basic volleyball match. There is some complexity to this fight. The downside, however, is the controls and timing are temperamental and not explained in the clearest of manners. What it boils down to, though, is that we need to catch the fireballs with perfect timing, or we get pushed back and lose ground. We then need to throw them back with enough power to damage him. The fireballs come from off camera, and the timing is anything but consistent, so it was pretty irritating trying to get this right. Thankfully, lives don't mean anything since you can just retry as much as you like, so much less pressure than the other courses that we've beaten. It took some time, but I eventually clocked the timing and just needed to start with a full platform so I could lock this down once and for all. Just gotta get the right timing, dude. There it is. There it is. That's phase 1. Hold A for the orange, spam A for the blue. Oh, we're still going. Huh? Unless there's a phase 3. That's it. I think that's GG. And there it is. The Black Evil is finally vanquished. The Dragon Balls are returned to their resting places, the village and its occupants are safe and sound, and as the people celebrate, Pikachu begins cutting some mad shapes like the Chad that he is. We then see that the magical book has concluded, and the question remains, was it all real or just a dream? I'll let you decide. And that concludes Amazing Island. Honestly, way more fun than I anticipated it being, and one of the few games so far that I was really sad to say goodbye to. It took me 5 hours and 23 minutes to beat this one, with a good chunk of that time just being on some of the more difficult stages. I gave this game a 6 for difficulty. A few of the stages felt really tough, and I had to work decently hard to beat it. I'm glad I didn't abuse the additional lives you get though for making more monsters. This kept it engaging. Enjoyability scored an 8. Easily some of the most fun I've had with the challenge thus far, and I give this one a strong recommendation since it's fairly short. If you made it to the end, then please enjoy a sneak peek at what I'll be playing next time. So there it is. Game 13 is the GameCube exclusive remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, The Twin Snakes. I'm brand new to the series, so I am expecting to get my ass kicked. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing as they do help the channel grow, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Bye bye.